Hi guys, and welcome to my super amazing, huge, and kind of embarrassing March book haul. I bought so many books you wouldn't believe. And sorry I look a little bit flustered, but I've been carrying the books around, trying to sort them a little bit and make some sort of order out of this chaos. So I should probably jump right into it, because I bought more than 45 books. I bought 45 books and a few comic books, and yeah. To my defense, it was Bookfair, and if you don't know what it is, I made a video about it from last time, and I will link that at the end of this video. Basically, it's a lot of cheap books, and I bought a lot of cheap books. Yeah, so let's get started. So the first two books that I'm going to show you are kind of, yeah, on the more embarrassing kind. Not that the books themselves are embarrassing, but I already have these, and for one of them I already had 2 copies, and then I saw these beautiful copies and I just couldn't leave them there. One of them here is Treasure Island, and it also had Kidnapped, and I didn't have that one yet, so basically it's allowed. At least that's what I tell myself. And it's this beautiful hardback copy with gold on it, and it doesn't have any pictures in it, but I have another copy that does have the illustrations with it, and I love Treasure Island, and I thought this would just look beautiful on my bookshelves, and when I'm going to reread it, I'm going to read this copy. And the next book is also a book that I already had, but I had this boring paperback copy, and then I saw this copy. It's The Art of War. It was only 10 euros, which for the Bookfair is kind of expensive, but I just thought it looks so beautiful. It has this hardback cover. It's really sturdy, and then the book itself is also hardback with this red velvet almost on it. It's really beautiful, and the inside has pictures and things in it, and it's just such a beautiful copy. And if you're wondering why I have not one but now 2 copies of The Art of War, it's because, first of all, I think it's just really interesting to see you know, the strategies and things that he said, and how most of them are still valid, still used, and just interesting history bit to read. But also, I write books mostly fantasy, and there are going to be battles in it. Not in all of my books, but some of them. For instance, one of the first books that I wrote has a pretty big battle scene in it, and I think that reading this couldn't hurt to know more about battle strategies, and also it's just really fun. So I was planning to do this thing fast, but yeah, I'm going to speed up now. I also bought Panic by Lauren Oliver. I heard a lot of things about this, and it was always one of those books that I wanted to pick up and never really did, and now it was only 4 euros, so I bought it. The Left Hand of God. This is basically a book that I bought because I really like the cover, and the back says, "They call him Kale, he's destined to save the world, or destroy it." I thought this was just a fun, fancy, I think it's fancy probably, fancy book to read, and yeah, I'm really curious about it. I also had 2 Richard Castle books, and I'm a huge fan of the show. I'm a huge fan of Nathan Fillion, or Richard Castle. I love that they put him on the back like he actually wrote this, although he might surprise us all and have actually written it, but I read the first book in the series. I thought it was pretty good. Like, it's not the best book I've ever read, but it's a pretty good detective story, and it's fun to read if you watch the show, because a lot of things do come back in it, and they talk about the books in the show. So now I have 2 that I didn't have before. I also bought The Prisoner of Heaven by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. As I told you before in different videos, I actually met him. He went to our town and did a book sign-in, which was awesome. And this is the 3rd book in the series that starts with Shadow of the Wind. Yeah, The Shadow of the Wind. And this is a completely different cover than my other 2 books, so I was really hesitant to buy it, but I have the other 2 in paperback in like the most common cover that you see all the time, like the beige and blue covers. So I wasn't sure if I was gonna buy this, and then I thought, you know what, I really love this cover. I love that it's hardback, and I don't really care if it's a different version. I also bought Grey Walker by Kat Richardson. This was a book that my dad actually picked up before me, and I thought it was really something that I would like. It's about this girl who almost dies, and then she becomes a Grey Walker, which is someone who can see the dead, and it's like connected to both the world of the dead and the living, and I thought that sounded really interesting, and it was only €3. I've taken my jacket off. I'm still a bit flustered and hot from carrying all those books around and sorting them, because there's like piles of books here at my feet. But anyway, the next book is In Dark Surface, and this, as you might imagine by seeing the cover, is a book that I bought, or actually a book that I picked up because the cover is so beautiful, and it's kind of cover that you kind of pray that the book is going to be really good. It's about this boy Carter, whose dad used to be an adventurer, but now he's settled down, and Carter is bored out of his mind. He really wants an adventure of his own, and then one day he's kidnapped by slave traders, so he gets his adventure, but probably not the way he expected it to. But it sounded really interesting, and it just looks so pretty. So I'm gonna read this pretty soon, and I'll let you know what I thought. Just to let you know, that was one pile, and I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 piles left. Yay! By KJ Wignall, I bought Blood, which I already read, and I really like it. It's about this boy who dies like 700 years ago or something, and then he wakes up 100 years later in his grave, and he's basically a vampire. He doesn't know he's a vampire. He calls himself, I believe, undead, and he only figured out that there were tales about vampires and stuff 200 years after he, you know, came back to life, sort of, because there weren't tales yet of vampires. And I thought it was a really interesting spin on the original vampire story. I'm going to talk more about this in the video of what I read this month. Anyway, I also bought Alchemy and Death. Sounds really interesting, and that's part 2 and 3 of the series, so I can't wait to read them all. Next is a collection of short stories. It's called Rags and Bones, and I was kind of drawn in by the cover again, because it's a pretty weird cover. And then I saw Neil Gaiman, and it's basically a lot of short stories by a lot of well-known authors who take a known fairy tale and put their own spin on it. And I love fairy tales, and I love remade fairy tales as well. So I'm really interested to see what they did with it. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit faster now. Beautiful Disasters by Jamie McGuire. I just liked the cover, and I liked what it was about, and basically you'll know more about these books once I've read them, or you just have to look them up yourself if you're also interested. Same goes for Poisoned Heart. It just looks so beautiful, and usually you can tell by the cover, sort of, that it's kind of, you know, the book that you want to read. And I did read the back covers, of course, when I was at the fair. I also bought Bitter Blood, which is like part 13 in the series, and I have the series till 9, and then I have part 14 and 15 or something, so I'm trying to collect them all. Also got Win It and Flying Blind. I'm not sure which one. I think this is the first one. I think it's about the shapeshifter. Okay, so basically, it's about this girl Zoe who is an ordinary teenager, and that's the whole problem, because she's supposed to be really special. There's all these prophecies about her and stuff, but she isn't. She's just this normal girl, so she needs to try and get her powers. And I think that's a really interesting spin as well, because usually it's about this ordinary girl who gets her powers, and then suddenly like, oh wow, I turn out to be half god or something. And this is the other way around. Whew. That's 2 piles done. So yeah, this is the 3rd pile. It's still everything I bought at Bookstein, the book fair. It's Shadow of Night. It's the 2nd part in Discovering Witches, which I have and haven't read yet, so I can't say much about this, only that it was $2.50, so yeah. I also, I think, completed my Dan Brown series collection, I mean. I bought Digital Fortress, the Da Vinci Code. Turned out I didn't have this one yet, which is pretty weird. I have read it though. And Deception Point. And they were all $3.50 a piece, which isn't bad. And now I think I have all the books, all in different versions and stuff, by the way. But I don't really mind. Okay, this is the last pile for the book fair, and then there's 2 more piles. Stay with me, please. The next book I bought is Star Wars Shadow Games, and I've been reading more and more Star Wars books recently, by the way. Okay, not a lot, but I read a Star Wars book, I think in January, and I forgot to put it in my wrap-up, of course, so I'm gonna put it in this month's wrap-up, I think. Anyway, this one really interested me because it's basically about a celebrity. It's not about all the main characters, although Han does come into it, and I thought it was really interesting to see a bit about culture in Star Wars, because of course you see stuff about culture, but you know, everyday life culture, it makes sense that they would still have pop stars and stuff like that, that they would have some form of entertainment and not just, you know, praise the Empire all day or something. So I'm really interested to see what this one is all about. I also bought White Cat by Holly Black. I've heard so many good things about this book and I've been dying to read it for ages, but I've been dying to read like 200-300 books for ages, so it's basically has been on my you need to buy this and read this list for a while, and I saw it for only €4, so I quickly got it and I'm gonna read it soon. I also got Unearthly. It's by Cynthia Hand and it's about someone who's part angel, and I thought it looked really interesting, and again the cover just kind of bought me. I'm a terrible person that way, but so far I haven't really read any books that I absolutely hated, except for 1 or 2 that I had to read for school perhaps, so it works for me. And I did read the back, of course, when I was at the fair. When I keep saying that, I could probably just explain what the book is about. I'm sorry guys. Okay, next I bought Days of Blood and Starlight and Dollar of Smoke and Bone, which is supposed to be the other way around. But anyway, this is the first book. And I've read these, I've read them a while ago on ebook, and I absolutely love them, and I kind of wanted the different covers, but they were so cheap and they were here because you can't really get them in the Netherlands. You have to order them online, which I do a lot, but because I've already read them, I usually buy books that I haven't read yet, so I thought why not. They're pretty cheap, so I could always buy the different covers, like the really big shiny covers with the big faces on it with feathers and stuff. If you know the books, you probably know which cover I'm talking about. And give these to friends. Anyway, if you don't know Dollar of Smoke and Bone, it's set in Prague. It's about this girl who seems ordinary, but she knows all about this other world with demons and angels and everything in it, but not the way you would expect it to. Like, it's not ordinary angels and demon stuff. It's all pretty interesting. It's this whole new world, and she was raised by one of the demons. And yeah, it's really interesting, and she finds this angel who is like really dangerous to demons, so but for some reason she feels like she knows him and she's attracted to him, and he kind of feels the same way, and it's all about that and about what she does. It's not just romance or anything, it's really interesting, and it's by Laini Taylor, and I really recommend this series. Now we've come to the more graphic novel comic kind of section. I bought Harry Potter. It says all the figures from the magical world, and it has a little Harry Potter Lego. This was kind of an impulse buy, which pretty much all my buys on Bookfair are impulse buys. But I wasn't quite sure about this one because it's basically just a book with, you know, all the Lego things in it, but it was so cheap and pretty, and it had a little Harry Lego, and I love Lego, and I love Harry Potter, so I thought I would just buy it, and I can always give it away if I run out of room. Yeah. I also bought Twilight, the graphic novel #2. I have had #1 for ages and never got around to buying #2. It's basically just the first book, but then in manga form. But well, it's not really manga. It was kind of advertised as being manga when it first came out, I remember. But if you see some of the pictures, and if you know manga, you know that this isn't it. It's really beautiful though. I love the drawings of this graphic novel, and yeah, and now I have them complete, I think. I think there were only 2. I hope, otherwise I'm just gonna have to keep looking. Next is a graphic novel that I've wanted for a while now, ever since I did this project on Interview with the Vampire, and I had to reread the book, and which was a lot of fun, and really delve into it. And then I found that they had a graphic novel of Claudia's story, and I thought it was really great, but I didn't really need it for my paper, and it was really expensive back then, so I never bought it. But it was only €4 now, and it has the same style drawings, really beautiful detailed drawings, and I'm really interested to see what her side of the story is, if it's different from in the book, or, well, not really different, but if you learn a lot more. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. Next up is another book about vampires. I've always been really interested in vampires since I can remember, really. All kind of mythical creatures, really. And this is just a book that explains stuff about them and also shows this overview of vampire characters in our culture. And Twilight is in there as well. The old-fashioned Dracula, I mean. And yeah, I thought it was a really fun book to read, and it was only $2.50. This is actually a book that I didn't buy at the book fair, but who cares? It's the Hobbit sticker book. I saw it in the store, and I'm a huge Hobbit fan, and I love stickers. Back from when I was like a kid, I used to collect stickers. I don't really anymore, but when I see like really pretty ones, I still buy them for no reason. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to keep the stickers in the book or if I'm actually going to use them. I bought them with the intention of using them, but I'm a sucker for these kind of things. I always kind of feel that you ruin them when you use them, but on the other hand, if you don't use them, then what's the point? But yeah, interesting, I know, but I'll see what I'll do with them. Anyway, it's really pretty. It's the Hobbit. This was probably the first time that I bought a lot of like Dutch European comics. One of them is called Nauja, I think that you pronounce it. And again, it was the cover that really blew me away. And I thought the drawings, I'm not sure if you can see them, were kind of pretty as well. And they also had the second part, so I'm just gonna try these. They were €1 each. I'm not quite sure what they're about. But I'm just gonna try them. I know they're fantasy, and if I like them, probably try to find the rest of them. Kind of the same attitude made me buy Legende or Legend, and it's called Wolfenkind or Wolfchild, and I guess it's about this boy who is raised by wolves, and it looked so awesome. I kind of just browsed through it and also thought the pictures are really pretty. With comic books and manga, unless I know that the story is going to be amazing, and that's why I really need to read it. The art is really important to me. If it is an art form that I don't like, if I find it ugly, then the chances are really slim that I'm going to buy that manga or comic. I also have part 2, The Ingewanden van het Woud, which basically means the guts of the forest. Guts meaning like literally guts, not having guts. So yeah, it also looks really pretty and interesting, and both €1 each. And then I had one which is a standalone, which is also always awesome. I wasn't completely sure about the drawing of this, but I liked it enough, and I think it's kind of a Geppetto-ish story, Pinocchio-ish. It's called Een Stap naar de Sterren, which means taking a step to the stars. It has all these toys on the back, so I thought it was really interesting. Oh my god, my camera is running out of room. I'll be right back. Sorry if there's a different camera angle or lighting or anything, because my memory card was full and I had to quickly get another one. Anyway, let's continue. These are books that I bought outside of the book fair. The first one is Puppet Master by Joanne Owen, and I bought this I think for €2 or something at a secondhand store. I thought the pages look really beautiful, and it's about Prague, which I love. I've never been there, but I love reading about it, and about puppets and puppet masters and magic and mystery, and just seems really awesome. Next book is the only Dutch book in my pile. It's Mijn leven als geisha, which is My Life as a Geisha, by Mineko Iwasaki. A friend of mine actually got this for me. She knows how much I love Japan, and I love reading about like history and geishas and everything. So she saw this for me at the secondhand store and bought it, which is really, really nice. Thank you if you're watching this. I'm going to read it soon. Next is a tiny, tiny book, I suppose. I suppose you have to call it book, that they had at Waterstones. It's this one. It's really tiny and just made from the simple paperback cover. This one is The Goblin Market by Christina Rossetti. And I absolutely love that poem, The Goblin Market. I had to study it at school and I really liked it, and there are some other poems also in there. And it was only €1.50 and they had tons and tons of these. So if you're in Amsterdam, or probably at any Waterstones really, or bookstores, they have these now. Tiny little classics with short stories and poems and things. So if you just want one short story, or if you just want to see if you like an author and you don't know yet, it's not expensive and they don't take up a lot of space. I also got the Mammoth Book of Magic, which has 23 stories in it, short stories from different authors. One of them is Diana Wynne Jones, and also Ursula K. Le Guin, and all these other authors. Some of them I don't know, some of them I do know, and I'm beginning to like short stories more and more. I never really used to read a lot of short stories. I didn't dislike them, I just never read them. Yeah, and I thought this was a pretty cool way to get to know new authors and look up other books by them. I bought a similar book. It's called The Mammoth Book of Angels and Demons, and it has this really awesome, can you see it? Yeah. Really awesome, really creepy cover. And it has short stories by Neil Gaiman, George R.R. Martin, and many more. Some of them again I don't know, which is also a lot of fun, because if I like stories in the writing style, I can look up different books from that author. Yeah, so I'm really interested in reading both of those. I also bought on this trip, it was actually on a trip to Amsterdam that I took with my mom, and we actually vlogged a lot of it, and it's up on her channel, so I will link that at the end of this video if you want to see that. It was the first time going to Amsterdam for me in a long while, since I got ill a while back. So yeah, and it was the first time for my mom as well since a long time. So it was a lot of fun, and we went shopping, and I bought a lot of books, as you can see, and also bought notebooks, and it was just fun. The last book that I bought at the shop was Death Cure. I have Maze Runner in this cover, and they used to have all of them there, but now they only have Death Cure and a different cover, so I'm going to try and collect them all with this cover. And meanwhile, I can read the books that I'm missing, which is I already read the second book, so I can read those for my brother. And before all of this, at the beginning of the month, when I didn't know I was going to buy that many books, I actually went online because I was allowed to buy a few books from my mom and dad, because I had to have this little medical examination where they basically jam a needle in your neck, which isn't fun, and kind of as an incentive to not be too nervous and to look forward to something more fun, they said that afterwards I was allowed to buy some books online. So I bought a few, and I added a few of my own again, because they still had the 3 for 10 offer on Amazon. They might still have it if you're interested. It's 3 books for £10, only the books that apply, of course, and they had new ones, so yeah, I bought some. Sorry, I know it's really bad. You have no idea how little room I have and how many books I have to cram in there somehow. It's going to be fun. But let's get started. First of all, they had Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, which is the second part in the series and the only part that I missed. If the series has 5 books, I think it only has 5 books, and now I all have them in this really pretty cover. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. I also bought Just One Day by Gail Forman. I heard that this was a really good book, and I've been wanting to buy this one for a while now, and in the meantime I've read If I Stay and Where She Went, and I also saw the movie If I Stay, and I really like those, so I think I'm really going to like this one as well. I also ordered The Sin Eater's Daughter by Melinda Salisbury. I almost didn't order this one. I'm not quite sure why, because the cover is really awesome. But for some reason I thought it was just gonna be kind of a bad book. I have no idea why, but obviously I thought I was going to be interested enough to buy it, and I read it, and it's really, really good. I'm going to talk about it more in my wrap-up video for March, but I really liked it and I recommend it. I also bought The Secrets of Life and Death, which just sounds really interesting, by Rebecca Alexander, and again, I really liked the cover. I also had pretties and specials, and I already had the first book, Uglies, and then I read these on ebook, and now I have them in the pretty paperback copies, and I can put them on my shelf. If you don't know this series, it's basically a world where you have littlies, which are like these tiny little kids, and they're still cute, and then when they become teenagers, they get to the awkward stage, get pimples and stuff, and they're considered uglies. And when they, I think, turn 16, they'll get this surgery, and they'll become beautiful, and they'll become pretties, and they have, what I really liked about this series, of course, it deals with a lot of issues like plastic surgery and, you know, finding inner beauty and stuff like that, and control from the government. It's pretty much a dystopian novel. And they also have their own dialect. They have a lot of special words that they use, which might take some time to get used to, but it's really easy to understand. And I really like this series and I recommend them. Last 3 books, I'm almost there. So in my previous unboxing video, which I might link at the end if I still have room there, otherwise in the description box down below, or you can just go to my videos. I unboxed a lot of 3 for 10 books that I bought on Amazon, and one of them was Geek Girl, and I was just gonna read it, see if it was interesting and funny, and I thought it was hilarious and just a cute, simple story, you know, one of those books that you read when you want to be happy, want to be put in a good mood, or if you're in a good mood, one of those simple, fast reads. And I also got Model Misfit now, because I really liked the first book and I read it like in a day, and I also got the next book, which is Picture Perfect, also really, really like that. And I even got the Book Day book, which I'm really glad I still had these, because we can't really get these in the Netherlands, which is called Geek Drama, and it's basically a tiny little side story. You can read this one after the first book, I think. I wasn't sure when you could read it, if it would have spoilers of stuff, but I think if you've read the first book, then you're safe. Oh yeah, that was all the books that I bought in March. Next month isn't gonna be this bad. I'm probably gonna say that every month, but I'm pretty sure that next month isn't gonna be this bad. For one, because I'm pretty much broke now, because I spent all my money in books, and I need to read a lot of these, so I'm gonna be way too busy reading. Anyway, if you really like this way too long video, so long that I had to get another memory card, then please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos from me, then do please subscribe. Also, I just started a vlogging series on my second channel called Nora's World. I'll link to that at the end and down below. Basically, when I do something interesting and fun, I'm gonna take my camera with me. I got the idea from Zoe, or Zoella. She talked about how she didn't vlog for a while because she got pretty bad feedback and was going through some stuff, and I get it if you want to take a break, but she really missed it, and she said she did more and was happier when she actually vlogged, because she wanted to do something interesting and be happy for the camera, and that just made her happier and made her do more things. And I thought that was a really good point. So the first vlog that's online is about me and my mom chasing the solar eclipse, just going south in the car trying to find the solar eclipse. We got some glimpses of it, spoiler alert, but we didn't see the whole thing. But it was really fun, and basically we're just laughing and goofing off in the car. And the second vlog that just got up has all these cute little animals in it, and a Dutch market, and we speak a lot of Dutch with subtitles, so if you're interested in that, Dutch maybe as well, you can look at that. I hope you'll check out my second channel and check out my vlogs. I would love to make more of them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Doei! This here is the aftermath. I was just kind of, yeah, throwing books next to me as I was showing them to you. So basically, there's this whole pile of books that I have to put here somewhere, and I have bookshelves pretty much everywhere. If you want, I could do a book tour soon. I'm not sure why I'm still talking, because this video is probably like 40 minutes long now. But yeah, this is basically all my book capacity, and it's completely full.